Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Night number 2 of the King of the Ring rolled on SmackDown Live, and before all was said and done, it would be stained once again. Last night it was stained just by its mere presence of being on Monday Night Raw, and tonight it was stained by the disgusting, dripping, sickly bodily fluids of the Prince of Perspiration, Shane McMahon, bringing to light everything that I was afraid the WWE was going to do in their most prestigious tournament ever, the King of the Ring, which just like last night was nothing more than another episode of SmackDown Live, and we are here to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Everything's Wrong with SmackDown Live review right here on Sledgehammer TV's Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You cannot call something the most prestigious tournament in all of sports entertainment or pro wrestling and then have bullshit like we seen go down in the main event tonight of SmackDown Live. While they did the right thing on the one hand in putting a King of the Ring match in the main event of the show, what happened in that main event and the presence of Shane McMahon doing exactly what I was afraid he was going to do and interject himself into the decisions that have something to do with the crowning of a new King of the Ring. And it has come to light, and I just am... I shouldn't say I'm surprised, because I'm not surprised. What I am is very disappointed. I'm extremely disappointed at the fact that the WWE decided to use the King of the Ring as another little tactic and another avenue to go down in the never-ending legacy and the saga of the sweat machine Shane McMahon. I was hoping they were going to distance themselves from all of this. This was the reason why I didn't want Kevin Owens involved, why I didn't want guys like Elias involved. Their immediate association and involvement with Shane McMahon call for shit like this to happen during the King of the Ring. I didn't want to see it happen. Do you see shit like this happening in other tournaments? And I'm not even talking about outside the WWE. We can stay right in-house. Did you ever see some nonsense, some bullshit shenanigans like this go down during the Cruiserweight Classic? Did you see any of this go down during the NXT UK Championship tournaments? Did you see anything like this happening in the Dusty Classic or the Mae Young Classic? No, because those were legitimate tournaments based on competition, in-ring ability, and wrestling skill to crown a winner. And in this case, the winner would be the new King of the Ring. And now it has already been tainted by what they did tonight to Kevin Owens, having him lose his opportunity at the King of the Ring at the hands of Shane McMahon to further a story that none of us want to see develop or evolve any further. We want to see it put to bed, put to rest, and go away. And the minute I seen Kevin Owens within an arm's distance of the Prince of Perspiration tonight, I knew the rest of the night was going to be not what we wanted to see, especially as it pertained to the King of the Ring. The rest of the show tonight was very up and down. Watching SmackDown Live tonight was like watching somebody coloring a picture in a coloring book, but occasionally going into an epileptic fit or having a seizure of some kind. Because SmackDown Live, if you look at the picture that they colored in certain points, it was actually pretty good. They did pretty good. They stayed inside the lines. They did a nice little color blend here and there, and they made some things make sense. And I was appreciative of the effort, but this is the WWE we're talking about, and they can't help themselves but just twitch all over the place and then get outside the lines, and they start mixing colors together that don't go together, and they end up creating mud and just a whole lot of gray area that makes a whole lot less sense than you want it to. It was just a very up and down show. And no, I'm not Simon Miller. I'm not trying to steal his shtick. It just literally felt like riding a roller coaster tonight. Because SmackDown Live began this evening with a very good segment. Some of you guys might not be into it because of Kofi Kingston. You might feel one way or another against the current WWE champion. But I happen to believe that the Randy Orton Kofi Kingston angle that they have been crafting over the last few weeks, over the last month or so, has been some of the best stuff we have seen them do. It's one of those nicely colored areas of SmackDown Live tonight. Randy Orton on the microphone tonight was fantastic. He illustrated his point masterfully as a villain, pointing out all of the different reasons why Kofi Kingston is stupid, making reference to how it brought him pleasure to hold Kofi Kingston's stupid head into position while they obliterated Xavier Woods' knee, being as cold and callous of a viper as we have ever seen, and he did it perfectly. It didn't take 20 minutes. It wrapped up very quickly and very nicely, and also gave Kofi Kingston a moment of comeuppance. As Kofi Kingston and the New Day's music hit, Randy Orton's attention was immediately targeted to the entrance ramp when he was blindsided by a Trouble in Paradise from the WWE champion. Kofi Kingston gets a little bit of a measure of vengeance, telling him we're going to see who's stupid tonight. He was about to set up Randy Orton and break his leg for Xavier Woods. There was a real fire and an intensity in the champion tonight. There was no fucking pancakes. There was no horn blowing. There was no nonsense. There was Kofi Kingston coming out to kick some ass, and I thought it was written and performed perfectly. Until the Revival came out, which does make sense since they're apparently the new friends of Randy, and they're coming out to bail out their buddy. They ended up getting the advantage on Kofi Kingston. I enjoyed the whole entire segment. I really thought this was good. Kofi Kingston ended up fending off the Revival and beating everybody up with a chair. Randy Orton escaped by the skin of his teeth thanks to his new little duo, and I thought it was a great way to kick off the show. I thought we were on the right track. I thought everything was going great, and then they wanted to show me a recap of everything going on with Roman Reigns. This is the same promo package we have seen 150 times since last Tuesday, because they have to keep talking about it, and they really ruined this thing. They ruined this whole thing, and by the end of tonight, after Daniel Bryan's big reveal of the man that he said is the one to definitively be the one behind the attacks of Roman Reigns, just absolutely fell on a bunch of deaf ears. It landed like a fart in the wind, man. It was just there and gone, and there was no way for any of us to react to it. It's just awful, and we will talk about it more when we get to it at the end of the review here. Tom Phillips took a minute to congratulate NXT for the announcement of the WWE being the biggest dumbasses in dumbass history. And I say that not because they should be afraid of going up against AEW, but the fact is, and I'll only take a minute on this and we'll get back to the review, the fact remains that the type of a wrestling fan that enjoys and watches the product that they put out in NXT is the same type of fan that enjoys the type of product that comes from AEW. It is a very similar packaging. They're not the same at all, but they are very similar. If you were to compare AEW to NXT over Raw or SmackDown, you would have to agree that it is much more like the gold and black brand of the WWE. And by putting the head-to-head thing and starting the Wednesday Night War so unnecessarily and so quickly right out of the gate, it's just going to split the audience in half. This was one of the things Vince McMahon was worried about at the Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, back in the days of the Monday Night War, which is what I meant to say, is that all you're really doing is splitting the audience, and at the end of the day, nobody wins. And really, what I think is going to end up happening is everybody is going to watch AEW on TNT Live, and then all of the people that already watch NXT are going to go on their network and continue to watch NXT at their leisure the way we all do. Because there's a whole lot of us that don't watch it Wednesday night, because some people just can't. And that's what I think is going to happen. So is it going to be a true reflection of the ratings war against one company to another? I guess it could be, because you're talking about just the casual audience at that point, the USA Network people. All the diehard fans are still going to tune into NXT regardless. So is there really a war? I guess there is one to be had. Time will tell. USA Network welcomes NXT to its airwaves starting Wednesday, September the 18th, just a few weeks before they go head-to-head with AEW on TNT. Probably the most interesting story happening all week long in professional wrestling. Kevin Owens decided to go get wet. And he put on his raincoat, and he brought his Shane McMahon umbrella, and he put on his galoshes, and he walked his way into the Shane McMahon office, ready and willing to be soaked by the disgustingness of Shane McMahon. He's trying to be cool about everything that's been going on. He wants Shane McMahon to take back the $100,000 fine. He's saying, this is like my kid's college education. You know, this is the difference between me paying my mortgage. It's a drop in the hat for you, pretty much reiterating everything he was talking to Shane McMahon about last week, just please trying to get him to take this thing back. Shane McMahon seems to be having a change of heart. He says he will take it under consideration, and this will not be the last time on this night that we are going to have to deal with Mr. Perspiration Pants. We had the first matchup for SmackDown Live on the King of the Ring tournament path. Andrade with Selena Vega defeated Apollo Crews in a pretty good match. This was a very good match, and it should be. These guys have been wrestling each other. They renewed their rivalry tonight for the King of the Ring. They have a very good chemistry, and this was an entertaining match. Just as entertaining as Samoa Joe and Cesaro was last night. Interestingly enough, this match started off the very same way, with Apollo Crews bursting out of his corner and getting the early advantage over Andrade by rocking him with a clothesline right into the corner and getting a very quick near fall, which set the tempo for that matchup, and it did continue that way until Andrade Cien Almas would end up hitting the hammerlock DDT for the win. We go to the back, where Daniel Bryan and Rowan are walking some gigantic man in a black hood into a room in the back. Daniel Bryan says he knows what he did. He's talking to this hooded guy at this point. He told the guy not to move from this chair or he'll be sorry. He sits him down in the back, and then Daniel Bryan goes about his business. We then have to be exposed to the 24/7 champion, the avocado toast gold plated belt carrying, guitar wielding Elias in the back. He noticed a referee hiding in plain sight. How he knew it was a referee, I don't know. Maybe he seen his profile while he was walking up towards him. I wouldn't have been able to tell you it was a referee if you would have asked me. It was just some guy standing by a box in his coat and a hat. But the TV's got a TV, right? So Elias finds this referee. He asks him to show me where he is. I'm expecting R-Truth to come jumping out of the box, and of course, it's much worse than even that. It's Drake Maverick. We are then made privy to the knowledge that tonight the 24/7 championship rules will be suspended so that Elias can focus on his King of the Ring match later this evening. He puts Drake Maverick back in the box, and I am forever grateful only for the fact that we are not going to have to deal with the 24/7 nonsense any further than this segment. However, My elation for this being taken away from the evening's festivities was immediately taken away from me by the announcement that we are going to have a moment of bliss with the special guest, Charlotte Flair. Now, what's worse than actually having a moment of bliss being booked for a segment on either Raw or SmackDown? Giving them somebody who is terrible at promos. Because this was god-awful and this was just awkward. Alexa Bliss introduced their guest, Charlotte Flair. Bliss noted that Flair requested this time herself because Charlotte Flair wanted to point at the chair. She wanted to come out and say, I don't want to sit in this chair, Alexa. I want to sit in the throne that's meant for the king of the ring. Is she giving a little bit of a hint and a wink at the future plans for what the WWE might have in store for the women's division? Do they even have enough women to fill a field of 16? To crown a queen of the ring? I don't even want to know. Considering how the king of the ring is going right now, I want nothing to do with a queen of the ring, or a tag team of the ring, or a jester of the ring, or anything of the ring. You know what? Put on Lord of the Rings. That's the rings that I want to watch right now. The Lord of the Rings, all 3 volumes, extended edition. I will do that all in one night. If I didn't have to watch this shit instead. I'd be much more entertained, and so would you. Shall not pass. Want to go out there to the arena and do that to everybody in the creative staff. Make them fight the Balrog or something. That would be entertaining, wouldn't it? Anyway, Charlotte Flair again pointed at the King of the Ring throne, noted that's more her style. Bliss then said that people are calling SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley the face of SmackDown because Charlotte Flair believes she's the face of SmackDown. Bayley then decided to come out. All of a sudden, a challenge was made for the Clash of Champions. Charlotte Flair is going to be taking on Bayley, who accepted the challenge and then pushed Charlotte Flair off her chair into the table that sat next to her. It was pretty violent. It looked like Charlotte Flair fell pretty awkwardly and might have actually hurt herself in that moment, but much ado about nothing, I guess, as Bayley left, and then the segment would be over. Backstage, Roman Reigns approached Buddy Murphy. Reigns wants to know if Buddy Murphy is lying to either him or to Daniel Bryan. Buddy Murphy says he's pretty sure he saw Rowan in the hallway. Reigns said he needs him to be more than just pretty sure. He stuck to his guns. Buddy Murphy continued to plead his case, just saying, listen, he saw what he saw. He's pretty sure it was Eric Rowan. And Roman Reigns then would turn around and tell Murphy if he finds out that he's lying, he's going to come back again and whoop his ass. We then had an unexpected, unannounced matchup between Buddy Murphy and Daniel Bryan. And this matchup is what I expected to see during matchups for the King of the Ring tournament. The action in this match was unbelievable. Buddy Murphy, for the second week in a row, proves why he deserves to be a whole lot more than just a cruiserweight guy. He should have been on this roster at least a year ago. Considering the matches that we have gotten in back-to-back weeks, first with Roman Reigns and now tonight with Daniel Bryan, an absolute masterpiece of a match. It was beautifully done. Eric Rowan played a part. You thought the match was going to go one way, and then by the end of this thing, Buddy Murphy comes out with a huge victory. Huge. Over a red-hot Daniel Bryan. And sure, Daniel Bryan hasn't been winning matches left and right, but he is one of the most recognizable faces in all of professional wrestling. He's the hot hand in the heel side of things on SmackDown Live. He's currently in the midst of this whole biggest storyline ever with Roman Reigns, and it's making him a bigger star than he could have ever wanted to be. It's going to turn out well if they go forward in a positive way with Buddy Murphy. Does he have to advance in the King of the Ring? Not necessarily. He could go out there next week and put down a barn burner with Ali and then go down in defeat and still come out looking like one of the best things in all of professional wrestling, and it's no wonder why this guy called himself the best kept secret in all of wrestling. You see what he did with Daniel Bryan tonight. The match was fantastic. If you missed it, it's worth going back and watching. Buddy Murphy defeats Daniel Bryan in an absolute shocker of a match, because I just didn't expect this match to even be happening. After you see what we got, you definitely want to see it again. It was just fantastic. It was refreshing to be watching SmackDown or watching any WWE main roster program and to truly be enjoying the wrestling that is going on in the ring. And you have Buddy Murphy and Daniel Bryan to thank for that tonight. And unfortunately, it had nothing to do with King of the Ring. That's the only thing that I could point out that is wrong with this segment, because this is the type of time and care that they should be putting into the matches for King of the Ring. But instead, we got this random match that stole the entire show and just pulled the red carpet right out from under the throne. Because at the end of the night, who gave a shit about what happened at the King of the Ring? The real story is Buddy Murphy versus Daniel Bryan. Absolutely fantastic. Kayla Braxton tried to interview Buddy Murphy following his big victory in the back, but Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan followed suit and attacked him. Eric Rowan picked up Buddy Murphy and gave him a claw chokeslam on a production box in the back. Looked absolutely brutal. Daniel Bryan screaming, "You didn't deserve that. You don't deserve this. You're a liar. You're a this. You're a that." Not dropping his intensity level one bit. If I had to bring the hammer down on Daniel Bryan for anything, or give you guys anything wrong with the Daniel Bryan character at all, it's the fact that he promised us this earth-shattering, career-changing announcement, and we're still waiting on it. And now we've apparently moved past that, and he's now attempting to murder people. We'll have to see where that storyline goes. In a tag team matchup that I really don't understand why this was booked, why the Revival is being booked to go over Heavy Machinery right now, is unacceptable. While I appreciate the fact that Heavy Machinery was not in the ring against two local jerk-offs tonight, the Revival just came out of nowhere, started getting a little bit hot because they're friends with Randy Orton, and now they've derailed the momentum of Heavy Machinery. Would it have killed you to give Heavy Machinery a win in this situation? It really would have probably elevated them in the eyes of the casual fan, because here they have the Revival, who have been winning and losing championships on and off, being bested by one of the newer tag teams in the division. But no, instead you have the new guys go out there and lose a decent matchup with these guys. And now what do you do with Heavy Machinery? Why did you go this route with the Revival? I don't understand it. I don't agree with the booking of this matchup. I don't know why it existed. When it first started, I actually thought, hey, this might actually be okay, because, out of all the tag teams that could have answered, the Revival, Heavy Machinery was not one that I thought was going to be put up on the silver platter so quickly. But the WWE has no time and no need to care with the way they tend to their talent. And they prove that by just... it wasn't a squash, because it was a decent match, but essentially you squashed their momentum, right? The crowd was getting into it. They had a big pop tonight. They were heavily behind Otis. The crowd wanted to see Heavy Machinery win. It's not like this is going to be a deep-rooted rivalry that we're getting started between the Revival and Heavy Machinery. The Revival's coming out there talking shit about the entire tag team division, saying they're going to revive the tag team division, talking the same old song and dance they've been saying on these shows since they've come up from NXT, and I don't believe it any more now than I did when they said it the first time. And then you go down there and beat a team like Heavy Machinery. Unnecessary. If they needed an easy win, why not call out the B team? Let the Revival friggin' get an easy win, 1, 2, 3. Why are we even doing this on SmackDown Live with the Revival tonight? It just was very unnecessary. They should have just came out backing up Randy Orton in the beginning like they did, and we didn't need to see them again for the rest of the evening. They could have booked Heavy Machinery against some other tag team to get a win. We've seen the Revival once. That's more than enough in one night. Kayla Braxton approached Chad Gable in the back. Now, I'm 50-50 on this segment because while I'm not really sure where they're going with Chad Gable, and definitely not sure where the hell they're going with Shelton Benjamin, I laughed. I had to pop for this segment between Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin tonight. Shelton Benjamin sneaking around behind Chad Gable while he's giving this very heartfelt, very passionate interview to Kayla Braxton. And Shelton Benjamin, unbeknownst to Chad Gable the whole time, places a sign on the door to the men's locker room that Gable is standing in front of. He then sneaks away. Nobody notices Shelton Benjamin, which is not a surprise since the guy hasn't said a freaking word for the most part. He's been moving around in silence like Sam Fisher in the back. And that's what he did tonight. He slinks away. Chad Gable finishes his interview. He turns around and he sees the sign, and it is revealed to say you need to be this high or this tall to compete in King of the Ring. And the line was significantly above Chad Gable's head. He says, very funny, and then enters the locker room. If I were him, I would have taken the sign down before I walked in there, but that's just me pointing out something. It got a laugh from the fans. It got a laugh from me. I like that Shelton Benjamin is messing with his old tag team partner. I don't know if this is going to be revealed to be all in fun or if this is going to be something that ignites some new fire in Chad Gable. Maybe Chad Gable is going to have a heel turn. I don't know what's in store. Nobody knows what's in store. Just like nobody knew what was going to be in store for us on tonight's episode of Miz TV. Now, while I was grateful that The Miz did not have Miz TV last night, here we are on SmackDown Live, and of course, after I said it 24 hours ago, we have to have a Miz TV. And tonight's special guest is Sami Zayn, and I couldn't have been more disinterested at the start of this thing than I am on a usual Monday night during the entirety of the entire show. However, this is another one of those nicely colored sections of SmackDown Live. You heard all the spazoid parts that we just got through already, right? With all the scribbling and the outside the lines. But this was almost, in my opinion, a masterstroke. Sami Zayn has been booked like shit for the longest time. He has done nothing but lose, as The Miz made light to tonight in the Miz TV segment. The guy has done nothing but have his shoulders pinned to the mat, and he's been looking up at the lights. Sami Zayn, as a wrestler, for the most part, has been worthless. But Sami Zayn is merciless on the microphone. Sami Zayn can get a crowd to boo him at the drop of a dime. Sami Zayn's mere association with Kevin Owens in the past has made him a bigger heel than he was in NXT. And I think if you aren't going to use him and you don't have anything for him in the ring, one of the best things you could do with a Sami Zayn is what they chose to do with him tonight on SmackDown Live. As apparently Sami Zayn is the new manager of Shinsuke Nakamura, a man he has a very deep-rooted mutual respect for. These two guys took part in some of the most vicious and brutal NXT matches you will ever see. The crowd used to chant on and on, "Fight forever," when these two guys got into the ring. It's just a very, very smart pairing. Shinsuke Nakamura has been lost in translation over the entirety of his main roster stay. By giving him a mouthpiece, especially somebody who has the verbiage and the linguistics of Sami Zayn, it's going to do nothing but make magic for Shinsuke Nakamura. He needed a manager. It's one of the things that is missing in professional wrestling. So many of these guys, like a Cesaro and like a Shinsuke Nakamura, need that guy that could get them over more than they ever could do themselves. And I think Sami Zayn is the perfect person for it. He's got that Weasley little manager look. If you look at him, he kind of looks like what Harvey Whippleman might have looked like if he actually worked out and took care of his body a little bit. I'm digging it. And the way that they just tore apart The Miz tonight and really cemented the fact that they are here to make a statement leaving The Miz laid out with a Kinshasa as Sami Zayn held him in place the whole time. It was fantastic. The entire interview with Sami Zayn was great. He forced The Miz to address him. If you want to talk to Shinsuke Nakamura, you address me. The Miz tried to throw him off and not even acknowledge what he was saying, but Shinsuke Nakamura took a minute to direct The Miz's attention to his new front man. The Miz was pretty much taken back by all of this, as taken back by as I was by everything that was going on. And Sami Zayn liked to make the offer to The Miz. He's like, well, you know, we can talk to you in a language I'm sure even you can understand. And out of nowhere, Shinsuke Nakamura would attack. This whole thing was great. This was great, and I really enjoyed every part of it. And this is the type of stuff that we need more of. And if they really go with this, I think they could give Sami Zayn a couple of guys. I'm not going to speculate as to who, but just based off of the power of what he pulled off tonight, if you give Sami Zayn a stable, maybe of an all-foreign stable, all people that can't speak English very well, and he is their voice, I think it's great. I thought it was great. You guys might not agree because you hate Sami Zayn, but if you're hating Sami Zayn and you hate him even more now tonight than you did yesterday, then the man has done his job. Has he not? We go back to Daniel Bryan and Rowan in the locker room in the back. They approach the guy in the hood once again. Daniel Bryan was furious about losing his match and noted that he has called Roman Reigns to join them in the back very, very shortly. Kevin Owens then goes back into his rain gear to confront Shane McMahon once again in his office. Shane McMahon asked Kevin Owens to apologize. He said, I've heard you say this and that, but you have never once offered an apology for your actions. Kevin Owens admitted, you're right, I have not done that, and he did apologize for doing what he did. McMahon was considering lifting the fine, but made the caveat of if Kevin Owens touches another official, he will be immediately terminated from the WWE. Kevin Owens then stuck out his hand for a handshake, but Shane McMahon denied. Probably because even he knew his hands were too full of sweat and he didn't want to maybe get Kevin Owens sick with whatever retarded disease he has that makes him just obsessed with taking over the show and being a central part of WWE program. Elias then goes out there to a new theme song. And there was nothing wrong with his old theme song. I loved his old theme song. By the way, you guys, did you know Elias actually had a different theme song than you heard tonight? You probably didn't, because he never really came out with it, which is why I'm so surprised that they changed it. Did they think that people were not going to notice? Guys like me definitely are going to notice, and much like they did to Buddy Murphy, they gave him a song now that is not as catchy, not as cool sounding as his original one. I liked the first one they had. There was no reason why they couldn't have just maybe rocked that out or amped it up if they wanted to tweak it a little bit. The only one they have gotten right as of late is the new music for Bray Wyatt, who we did not see at all tonight, which is another thing wrong with SmackDown Live, but at the same time it's not, because you don't want to overexpose the Fiend really. But when you get disappointed on a regular basis, you always are looking for the things you enjoy the most, are you not? But we did not get the Fiend this evening. We got Elias defeating Kevin Owens in the first round of the King of the Ring, thanks to the involvement of Shane McMahon. Halfway through this matchup, Shane McMahon saunters his sweaty ass down to ringside. He takes a seat next to the ring. You don't know what's going to happen. At this point, I'm assuming Kevin Owens is going to accidentally bump the ref, and Shane McMahon's going to fire him and give the win to Elias. I'm also absolutely terrified that at some point he's going to step in for Elias or something, or give Kevin Owens an ultimatum, so that somehow, some way, he ends up in this tournament. I still believe before it's all said and done, they're going to find a way to get that crown around his sweaty McHead. But hopefully that's not the case. What we've seen tonight does not lend to that truly being the final result. But what we did see tonight does lend to the fact that Shane McMahon has ruined the King of the Ring for Kevin Owens and essentially for the rest of us. Because if you're not going to take this seriously, then you shouldn't be calling it prestigious. You can't do that. You can't sit there and compare it and put it above tournaments that truly take wrestling seriously and really go out there and just put performance above all else, and then have schmaz booking, and have everybody out there looking like a bunch of clowns, and you have Shane McMahon administering a fast count when he's not even the actual ref. The ref didn't even take a bump. Why didn't the referee tell Shane McMahon to go sit the hell down? He was the appointed official. He's the man in charge. Even he should supersede Shane McMahon in that instance. He is in charge of this bout. Go sit down. I'm the referee. You're not the referee. Why are you wearing that shirt? What are you doing? Have Shane knock him out. Have something happen. Don't have this guy just go, duh, okay, and then walk out. And then Shane McMahon, at the first slightest chance that he could screw over Kevin Owens, takes that opportunity, screws Kevin Owens, and screws up the King of the Ring. How many times is this type of shit going to happen? Is he only targeting Kevin Owens? Is he going to come out and ruin shit for The Miz too? Is he going to come out and assist Elias on his way to being crowned King of the Ring in 2019? Nobody wants to see any of that. But none of us wanted to see what we saw tonight, and we still had to. Sadly enough, this would not be how SmackDown Live went off the air. SmackDown Live goes off the air in one of the most ridiculous segments. You think they're making Seth Rollins look like an idiot? They definitely made Roman Reigns look like a fucking moron at the end of tonight's show. Daniel Bryan has been teasing this guy in the black hood all night long. And it is revealed by Daniel Bryan right in Roman Reigns' face as they are all gathered in this very small room. And he takes the hood off of this clown. And it is a guy that looks as much as I can't even say this right because it's just so ridiculous. He looks so much like Eric Rowan that I think even Eric Rowan was confused. And then Roman Reigns just stood there. He just stood there. And he stared at Rowan 1, and he stared at Rowan 2. And then he stared at Daniel Bryan, and then he stared at Rowan 1, and he stared at Rowan 2. And he didn't say a word. And they stood back there. I felt like an eternity. I'm sure it was only about 2 minutes. But Daniel Bryan makes this reveal. This is the real culprit. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Is this guy the real Gary the Goat Gobbett? Is he finally come out of hiding? Is this the guy Cedric Alexander was pretending to be in the mask? Who is this jerk? Some jabroni from out of nowhere. Daniel Bryan's done extensive research. Everybody's backing him up. You got David Otunga on commentary driving me insane, sitting there saying, I got lawyer buddies. I got lawyer buddies telling me Daniel Bryan's doing some real digging. Shut up. Shut up. And then you have this. They didn't do anything interesting like actually make it somebody else on the roster that Daniel Bryan did investigate and found out it was this guy. He didn't accost somebody on the roster and hold them hostage against their will like a Dolph Ziggler or somebody that's absolutely worthless right now that could have maybe used a little bit of a pop or reason to be on the show. I don't know. Maybe not Dolph Ziggler. Maybe you could have had somebody from NXT. Maybe you could have had it be Lars Sullivan. Maybe you could have had it be so many other people. But to have it be nobody, you had an actual body there and you revealed the head from the mask and it still ended up being nobody. And now the fact that he looks exactly like Eric Rowan means what? It means that Rowan was the guy that mowed him down. So we're going around this very weird circle only to be led to point A. in the first place. You can't show us point B and C and then go, oh no, it was A the whole time. I thought it was ridiculous. I laughed my ass off, and not for the right reasons. I'm looking at these two guys looking like Thing 1 and Thing 2 with Daniel Bryan as the cat in the hat in the middle, and you got Roman Reigns. What? What? And that's how Night 2 of the King of the Ring on SmackDown Live came to an end. This show was ridiculous. While it did feature one of the better matches I have seen on main roster television, not the best match of the year by far, but it was one of the better matches I have seen. It was definitely a star-making vehicle once again for Buddy Murphy, so you can't say anything really that bad about it. I'm looking very much forward to Buddy Murphy's match in the King of the Ring with Ali based off of his last two performances on SmackDown Live. It's going to probably be unbelievable. Even if they decide to kill these guys by giving them only 6 minutes, they're going to be the 6 most exciting minutes you will have seen on SmackDown Live all year. I guarantee it. As far as tonight's SmackDown Live goes, it was 120 minutes of nothing. By the time it was all said and done, Shane McMahon ruining everything, as I somewhat predicted, and it's going to be a long, long road to the coronation of the 2019 King of the Ring. Thank you guys for being with me this week again for our ongoing coverage of the King of the Ring and our weekly Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live reviews. Don't forget to check out everything that I thought could go wrong at the King of the Ring in my very special What Could Go Wrong with the King of the Ring video. We also have 5 crazy things the WWE can do with Bray Wyatt and The Fiend, one of the coolest videos I've ever made with a lot of great ideas I've come up with. And if you haven't checked that one out just yet, go check it out right now. Also, our hammering of SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver Toronto as well, because nobody is safe from the hammer. I don't give a shit what 3 letters you have in front of your company. If you even are the most powerful 3 letters in all of professional wrestling, RKO. If there's something wrong, I'm going to tell you. That's what we do here. That's why you guys keep coming back to me, and I can't thank you all enough. We are still simmering underneath that 2,000 subscriber mark, so let's try to make the push to get this channel there. Share this video with every single person you know on every social media outlet. It really helps this channel try to grow and get to new eyes. Soldiers in my army, I put it out there to you. Let's get this channel where it needs to be. 2,000 is a great starting point. If we can get there by the end of August, would be fantastic. Don't forget to also smash that like button if you enjoyed anything about this show today. If you enjoyed any of my predictions or anything that I have said on this show, anything I have done on this show, just smash that like button, because that too helps people find this video, because the more people like this, the more YouTube shares this video in the search. And then the most important thing each and every one of you need to do, if you are not already one of the 1,800 plus that know when you want your wrestling and entertainment news bullshit free and full of a lot of fun opinions, fun times, this channel is the place to be. What channel is that? That is Sledgehammer TV. And this is the team: Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball Microphone. My name, of course, is Nick Nightmare. And the most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you guys. That, my friends, is going to do it. And we are out of here. And we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.